Hello!
Hey!
Guess who's back again? We are having we had a break from our developer live streams because we had a lot of sick people who had Twitch gone. What was that? Okay, apparently we also had some fun. People had a lot of fun in the past few days, but we hope everyone is doing great as usual. We're going to talk about Update 4.0.
Yeah.
You might think a big jump again.
Yes.
But we had just Update 3.0 live for about a week, a little bit less.
Week and a half.
Yeah,
almost.
Week and a half already.
Yeah.
Wait,
time flies.
It's already. Oh,
time flies.
Okay, time does really fly. It was like that was last week. No, it's already been a week and a half. Good morning.
We've been busy.
Yeah, we have. So we are gonna talk a little bit about what's coming up. So let's just get started. Yesterday, you might have known, it's not really directly related to 4.0, but yesterday we released a blog post to give some more, explanation and clarify the new matchmaking system. Because obviously a lot of people are like, hey, I'm getting placed against better people again. Why is it not working, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So with the blog post, we hope at least that people got a better understanding that people technically start around the same time. So it could be that there's someone that played or hasn't played yet in a new patch has to start with you, even though he has a higher bloodline rank.
Yeah.
But it doesn't automatically mean they're better.
It's been basically a nice follow-up to what Loic already mentioned in the last dev stream we had about how the system works. And since it's live now, with the iterations we've done through it, adjusting the brackets a little bit, which means the groupings for higher, lower ranks, and how likely it is for people to find a partner or an opponent.
So yeah, at the moment, the servers sometimes can be empty for some people, but at the moment we're still figuring out what the sweet spot is, and obviously because there are still people that are obviously super good at the game most likely have a bit harder time to find a match because you match not with that many people that are worse. So
what's interesting to see is there if you take a look at what the usual average user numbers are, you can see that it's kind of a wave, right? There's a specific peak times we have, and there's low points usually when most of the world is either asleep or at work, etc., right? So you can see these curves. So whenever you are at the low point, obviously there's fewer players overall across the planet playing games, also our game, and therefore it takes a little bit longer compared to the peak times.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, if you haven't had the chance, if you go to showdown.com/news, you can see the matchmaking blog right there. And obviously check out the other blogs while you're at it. That's why they're there. But let's go back a little bit. So update 4.0, Quickplay. We have talked about it actually a while back. Originally we had a plan for 3.0, but that became the map. So now we have Quickplay. So yeah.
Why 4.0? Maybe the first question.
Why 4.0?
Aren't we usually putting those 3.1, 3.2, 3.4 forevers out? No. So for us, there was mentioned, I think, a little bit in one of the last updates, the number dot patches compared to the dot number patches, they are usually the big ones. That means we have a main integration, in the last case, for example, 3.0, we had even engine changes coming in. And we usually do that when there is lots of big things changing. That allows us to be much easier to kind of get them into a live state. Now, for update 4.0, that is primarily also because we're updating the map.
Exactly.
So expect with 4.0, we talked about this a little bit later, that our new map Lawson Delta is receiving an update. So you'll see what has been done by the art and level design teams in the last month and a half, basically. And in addition to that, Quickplay is the next big thing. So that's going to talk about a lot more in detail right now.
Yeah, so let's go to the overview. What is Quickplay? It is a shortened experience, so it will not be as long as going into a regular match. It's something you are, as the title suggests, can do quickly. So matches take about, I think the max is 50 minutes?
15 minutes is the max time, but usually they're over between 5 to 50 minutes. It really depends on how people play.
So there's no boss. No extraction. This is something that's also why it was taking longer. We were still trying to figure out what a good way was of dealing, making it a fun experience. And when we did playtests, we had it first with a boss, but it kind of felt cumbersome, especially because it's solo. And we know we had a lot of people complaining about camping in a solo mission at first.
Yeah, the solo only event was that had really some. It was for us a bit of an eye opener, but also it gave us very good feedback on how Quickplay should play.
Yeah.
Because like especially the solo only, while fun, they also had lots of options for people to exploit it, to abuse it. But also in general, like we saw more camping. We saw some of the old issues return that we try to fix with dark side boost, etc. in the normal game mode. But it's particularly in solo only they were becoming problems again, and we didn't want that for quick play.
Yeah. So keep gathering clues. Do we want to explain a little bit how that works?
Yeah, like basically, before we go to the next slide, which details the first phase of it, just as an overview. I mean, what we talked about before is that with quick play, we want to have a second pillar, right? A second way of playing the game.
Yeah.
Ideally, giving players a consistent experience, so that means like whatever I learn in one mode, I can also use in the other mode. Like it's not a completely different game. It allows you to still adopt and like perfect your tactics, your gunplay, etc. But we want to give you just a different way of playing it, which might have less commitment. For example, like having to wait for a long time preparing your hunter, etc. All of that is kind of gone. Now, Quickplay has two main phases in it. The first phase is similar to what we have in our classic mode in Bounty Hunt, which is clue gathering.
Yeah.
So in this particular the second phase, this is where the magic happens. So this is where we don't have a boss, this is where we don't have extraction, but something else happens. And we're going to talk about that in a second.
Yeah. So just to explain, also obviously you can't leave early. It's not like I'm just going to farm some stuff and I'm going to get out.
Yes.
In general, the matches are shorter. You don't lose anything because the hunter you take is free, and also everything else. No, there's mine. Why are you guys trolling? And it is solo only. So this is what replaces the solo only event or solo.
It's the evolution of it,
exactly.
basically. Yeah.
Yes, the alteration on it.
Ooh.
So yeah, we go to phase. Oh wait, all right. So like, how do you wait? You can show it. So like, how do people queue for solo only? Now,
yes.
You already have seen. Oh. You already might have seen the button, obviously coming soon originally. Here you can select an outfit. Not sure why it's showing this stupid bar.
Yeah.
Oh well. You can select an outfit. I don't know how we balance that because I haven't.
Let's pause here.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically you have now these two different modes to choose, right? You have quick play and you have the classic mode. You can already see it maybe in the summary. Solo only, loot weapons during a mission, so that's a very big point. You are draining bounty from the world, so that's the second. There's a hint at the second phase we're going to talk about in a second. And only one winner, only one hunter can escape, and whoever escapes actually can keep that hunter.
Yes.
So that's basically where the escalation happens. Now, as you play quick play, it's a little bit different from the classic mode as you don't recruit a hunter. You can see that a little bit. I can use the mouse here. Like in the classic mode, you kind of recruit your hunter. You select the different recruits. Like in this one, you actually select a preset.
Yeah.
So this is like your starting gear. You kind of start with very, very basic weaponry. Like you start with a pistol.
Yeah, so you can do medium range or like shotgun.
Short range, melee, or just go random. And in addition to that, you can also change the outfit if you want to. We saw that in the beginning of the video.
No. Yeah, that was.
Which is basically up to the tier you have unlocked in your bloodline. So if you're a new player, it only means tier 1. Outfits up to 5 randomly are becoming available. It gives you a chance to kind of choose one you liked, but obviously it might not always give you exactly the one you like. And if you don't go in that submenu to select one, it just picks one randomly every time you play. That's going to be how you look in the game, and that's going to be the hunter that if you win, you take out of the mission.
Exactly. So the phase 1. So like obviously you find weapons. You start with like some starting equipment, which as we just explained depends on what you click, like either randomly, like medium range, and then you have to find clues, and at those clues you'll find weapons.
Yes.
But also add ammo cards.
Yes.
And then when the fourth clue pickup fourth clue pickup?
The fourth clue pickup.
Normally there's not a fourth clue.
So basically what we want to avoid, what you see in classic mode is that it's kind of random how long that phase takes, right? Like someone can just stumble upon the boss, kill him quickly, and basically while you're on your first or second clue, you might already be in a situation where someone has banished or started banishing on the first, like somewhere on the map.
Yeah.
Now, we want you to have enough time to actually go and find and explore and find these weapons. So what we did is... first off, we increase the number by 1, so there's going to be 4 clues total rather than 3. And also, and that's the important point here, the fourth clue, the first guy who picks up the fourth clue initiates the second phase.
Exactly.
So basically, the first part is a race towards 4 clues. You can either participate in that race, or you can just go and try to gear up instead, like if whatever's important. We see there's a reward for being that guy that gets the fourth clue. And from that point on, we actually see the second phase happening. And the second phase is
Well, first we
What?
have some
Oh
examples.
yeah,
of how
show
it
that.
goes.
Ooh, we're super mysterious with the second phase. We tease them all the time.
Yeah, okay. So as you can see in the fourth, like the clues are a little bit different. You have the clues. Oh wait, this is actually to explain it because there's one thing. So normally, obviously, you buy trades, but with this, you start with a trade that if you don't, or normally you start without 0 trades.
Yes.
But as soon as you pick up a clue, you get 1 random trade.
Exactly.
So you don't know what trait you have and what you're getting, but like the clues are a little bit different as well, like as you can see the animation or like
some of these traits you get, they might only be useful if you win a round,
exactly.
right? Or become more useful when you win a round. Others you can put to use instantly. They might also affect in terms of like the next weapons you find. Maybe you want to swap your gear because you got like a cool new sniper trait, for example.
So as you can see here on the top left, you have 2 out of 4 clues found and you have a timer.
Yes.
So obviously the UI is still work in progress, but like to get the idea, the way it works is the timer is the total rundown of the match, like, or like countdown rather.
Yes.
And once you pick up the 4th clue, I think there is another video. Oh wait, this is just showing the weapons. So like this is how weapon looting works. There are like loot boxes around like places like.
Did you just say loot boxes?
Ammo boxes. I mean, you loot them, they're boxes. They are free. It's fine. But like they're either on like the supply points or around clues. But now the change is that normally on the map, as you saw in the video, normally you see like, you know, the little supply point icons.
Yes.
They are not there until you found them.
Yes.
Which is evil.
So what's important here is that we want players to kind of go from one point to the other in order to find the clues, because the clues are still the objective. Like you want to get clues. Obviously, the way we position the weapons, they're very close, usually to these points. So there's another reason why you want to go to the clues. Yeah, they're jumping on it now,
guys.
And to avoid players just bypassing the first or 2 compounds and run directly to one of the supply cards. Because they expect better weapons to be found there, we are hiding them. So only if you are actually stumbling upon those supply points will you be able to get like the better weapons from them. At that point, actually, they also show up on the map, so they'll be marked for you. But at least you don't see them from the get-go, because we want you to be going after clues and not after the best equipment.
The funny thing is, when I was recording this, the first weapon I found was the Aftermath, and I was kind of like... of course. Of course, of all weapons, it has to be the Aftermath that I find.
But this is actually maybe a good point to talk about. Like, so we were here at one of those supply points, and obviously you get better gear at the supply points. There's a chance you might find an Aftermath. The chances are rather low for like some of these weapons, like an Auto 5 Aftermath, etc., or Mosin Sniper to appear, but they can appear. They're more likely to appear at a supply point than they are likely to appear at like around the compound. But weapons are scattered around. They're kind of random. They're just concentrated around the clue areas. But you can still just freely explore if you want to, and hope that you might find like a nice weapon on like a sniper rifle on a bell tower, for example, or a shotgun in the basement.
So what I saw, someone said, I think I saw like the zone closing instead of clues. So technically, the zone still closes.
Yeah, so the clues are still used to kind of funnel the players.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not a lethal zone or anything like that. It's like it works in a classic mode.
It's just more so that the people that are also like, well, no, wait. I'm 100% sure. It's just for yourself, right?
So the way it works in the classic mode is that whenever you pick up a clue, it shrinks for you. However, if everybody who picks up their first clue have the same shrinking effect visible on the map. It just means that some people might see already more where it kind of converges on. While other people are still a little behind because they haven't had the number of clues yet.
Exactly.
So the more clues
clue is also always whenever you want it. Like you can pick it up anywhere.
You can pick it up anywhere. It's just it might mean that like either you're in a region that is now like grayed out, or maybe you're lucky and actually maybe it's kind of like has close by sectors next.
I like how someone's like, I want to calm Dennis' beard. Yeah. I have played the game before. It's a new mode, my friend, so I wasn't sure if it was different or not anymore.
No, so
change a lot of things.
The first half of Quickplay should play very similar to how you're used to it, how you experience it. The one difference is you start with a predefined hunter, which has very limited gear. Like he starts, depending on your choice, with a handgun of a random nature. Like could be a silenced gun, could be a cold wall. Obviously, it won't be like a tier 3 type of weapon. Like we won't be able to get like an uppercut right from the get go. That's something you need to find and earn. And then, yes, as you move around and do your clue work, basically, you can find better weapons. You can also as you're used to already, I guess, from the changes we did with 3.0, loot it from dead players, and therefore improve your position. There's one change here also, which is we only give you one tool slot and one consumable slot. So your inventory is a little bit limited. If you are managing to win a round and get the hunter out, obviously you can equip him like you can use him in a normal way. It's just that during the session you're gonna have to pick a little bit like what you want to bring along. So like what's actually pretty interesting, next time you come around like a stamina shot, the first thing you do is just like jump it in and pick up the fire bottle next to it and keep on running.
Switch it to the next item. Okay. So yeah, this is where you would pick up the 4th clue.
As you can see in the top left corner, 3 clues are there. This is the 4th pickup.
Yes.
Now this guy is the first one to do it.
This guy's name is Lol.
Yeah,
that was Valdemar's doing.
Very funny. So what happens here in the top left? That's maybe an important part. So you see, and you've already seen in the previous videos we showed here, that there is this red counter which drags down. So think of this as the bounty tickets in the mission. This is also your mission timer. So rather than 5 or 10 or 15 minutes, you have, I think it's 900 of those points at the moment. So we're still changing the numbers here and there, so this might go up or down for when you guys have a chance to play this. And it basically is the timer of the mission. So this trickles down, and as long as no one has the 4th clue, it goes nowhere. It just basically depletes. However, whoever is the first guy to get the 4th clue initiates phase 2. And at that point, all of the points are trickling down from this point on will add up on his account. So he will start harvesting these points. So I just go to the next slide. Phase 2. So the second phase is basically a harvesting phase. You want to stay alive if you're that guy as long as possible in order to get as many of those points. These convert 1-on-1 to bounty afterwards, so which means you get money and XP from them, similar to like you get from like boss extractions, etc. And they're guaranteed. That means even if you die, you're gonna keep that. So even if you were only that guy with the 4th clue for, let's say, a minute before you get killed by someone else, what you get the worth value basically of 1 minute, could be like 60 to 100 to whatever of these points, and you get them guaranteed. If you die, this is what's added to your account, and you keep on playing. Now, there are 2 issues we found out while playtesting this. And there was one which was an issue with camping, and the other one was an issue with running away. So since, unlike in the classic mode where you have a kind of focal
bounty, you can go to the extraction.
Exactly, you have like focal points, right? Like so you have the banishing side where people have to stay around for quite some time, and from that on they need to move to an extraction point. It kind of makes it rather predictable how they move, and you can be tactical around that, both as a guy trying to run away, as the guys who are trying to pursue or ambush, etc. Now, with this mechanic here, there is one difference, which is that there's one player who is always in control of the spacing because he is the guy harvesting. So you will see him in Dark Side with a lightning as if he were a bounty carrier in the classic mode. However, we found out that people would either go into like some deep basement dungeon with like a shotgun waiting for people to come in.
The camping, pretty much. A lot of
and we tried to address that by making sure that alongside the lightning strike that comes down, you also, for the same blink of a second when this happens, you see the orange outline from Darkside Boost.
Yes, but not for the person who has the bounty. This is purely to find the person.
Exactly. So there's no Darkside Boost for the carrier. He doesn't have any advantages. He has to kind of like run away or be like using his normal like senses, like hearing, observing, etc. But the guys who are chasing him, they would at least know, is he, for example, at Whitechapel, if he is underneath in the basement by seeing that orange outline for a brief second every time it flashes, or whether he's maybe in a bell tower or in the church. So it just makes it easier to catch up. Like we had a couple situations where people were trying to figure out where this guy was because you only see the lightning strike coming from above, but you don't really have the chance to tell whether he's really underneath it, whether he's on a particular story. So it makes it a bit easier for people to kind of like engage him. Now, that was one problem, and we hope that with this Dark Side Boost blinking effect, we can solve that. Again, we will see when you guys have a chance to test this on the test server and give feedback. The second one is the running away part. Obviously, there's nothing stopping the guy just keep on running in circle at the edge of the map, trying to put as much distance between him and the enemies at least he knows because they're shooting at him or whatever. And that can be frustrating. Like it's like this kind of game of catching up, which it's kind of cat and mousey, but it's very unsatisfying. So in order to kind of keep that contained, we have added another rule, which is when the guy becomes the carrier, so after the 4th pickup, he will have 200-meter radius around him he can move. It's basically, if he moves close to the edge of that 200-meter radius, you will see like kind of a wall popping up in front of him. He cannot move through that wall unless you basically
he would take damage.
He takes damage, so it's not good for him to do that. Everybody else doesn't see that, so there's no circle that they can see. There's not a problem that they would need to move into this through this barrier into the area. For the other players, it's completely invisible. It's just to keep the guy who is now trying to stay alive as long as possible, kind of like moving around a little bit. Usually these 200 meters, that is like the current setting, we might have it 150, maybe it's 250 in the end, if we're still playing with the numbers a little bit.
Yeah, we need to.
The idea is like, it's kind of like the same compound, maybe like some buildings from an adjacent compound or a nearby forest. Like, it really depends on where it falls. And there's also some dynamic nature here, which is that if the guy who is currently the carrier gets killed, it instantly transfers over to the killer.
Yeah, so you don't, it's like normally you have to pick it up, but now it just transfers over, like the the rest bounty, so to say, because like obviously after the time is done, like you have less, so like the later you pick it up, obviously the less stuff you get from it.
Yes, so there's this pool of 900 points. Very likely people won't be able to ever get the 900 because they get the four clues first, but let's assume someone has been really fast. He might be able to start harvesting from maybe 700 points on, right? Like, it really comes down to how quickly they have a chance to pick up the stuff. Sometimes it's 500, sometimes it's 600. And then when they get killed, at that point they stop harvesting and a new guy starts to harvest there. There's no transfer, so no one gets what the guy before him harvested. Yeah. It's just that whatever is left in the pool, the other guy can also start leeching. Obviously, he has to kind of build up his own pool.
Yes. So, and also the people that die that harvested some of the points still get bounty after the match is done. Yes. So they still earn some gold that they didn't use in the actual like game mode.
So you keep what you harvest, basically. Yeah. There's one additional rule we put in there, which is that the current carrier, if he kills another player, he instantly takes a big chunk out of the pool. So like, he can shorten the time like by, I think at the moment it's like 50 points right away. That means you also have a chance by, if you just don't want to hide and run away, but if you want to be more offensive, there's a reward for it, because you might just like have 100 points left to harvest. And so just killing 2 players might actually make this game insta-win for you. Since the pool is big enough, we don't expect that to happen very often. During playtesting, it felt pretty good. But it could be that like, if you play this well, if you play this tactically, like doing that one nice kill headshot might actually shortcut your victory, rather than having to wait out and possibly being surrounded by the remaining 1, 2, 3, 4 players.
Exactly. So I just quickly want to answer 2 questions. Where the harvest point used for the harvest is like bounty. So like literally the bounty, the amount of money that you earn while like harvesting. So like as longer you have the bounty, the longer you carry the flag, whatever you want to name it, the more money you get.
Think of it as tickets, basically. Like in similar games, similar game modes, like you have a ticket system. If the tickets are depleted, the game is over.
Exactly.
Think of these bounty points to have a similar function as tickets. So it's a pool that is available for people to do something with. The quicker they harvest, or to get in a position to harvest, like with the 4th clues, the faster they can, and the more they can drain from that pool. If they kill people, also drains faster. And if it runs out, then the round is over. So since there's 900 points at the moment, it translates to the tick rate of 1 point per second. It trickles down to like, was it 50 minutes? And that's the maximum time a round of Quickplay can currently last.
Yes, and you can find consumables and tools, but you can only have a maximum of 1 each.
1 each, yes. Yeah. But you do have the normal weapons.
So the winner takes the hunter out. So that's if you survive, you get to keep that hunter.
Yes, and that's actually pretty interesting from a strategic point of view, because it might be that maybe someone is harvesting faster in the northeast. Like, let's assume someone had a good run with clues, being very close to his spawn position, very close maybe to let's say Port Rico, where he could maybe get both of those. So there's a chance that maybe that someone actually gets to 4 clues and therefore is the first guy to be the carrier. While you are still maybe on the opposite end of the map. Now, it might be frustrating for you to move all the way there. As you see the points trickle down, you think like, I don't really have a chance to harvest much anyways. By the time I get there, maybe there's only 50 or 100 points left, depending on what's going on. But there is another strategic part here, which is that even if you don't get much from the pool, if you are the guy who is in possession of that charged up state, like if you are the one harvesting as it reaches 0, you are the surviving player. That means even if you haven't done much in the game because you've been running, you are the one who will keep the hunter right now. So it might be worthwhile for you to go for either a lot of harvesting or for trying to be the last one to touch it and therefore be the one who gets the hunter out.
Yeah. What happens if you have 500 in inventory and win a quick play session? We'll share that after. Actually.
Yes.
I know that a lot of people seem to ask. It's still 10 players. Will this ever change in the future?
So
Because that's something that we had as feedback internally.
we talked I think about this a couple of streams ago last time. The problem we're facing is that we're a game which has both AI and players. And by having AI on the same game, that means we are limited what we can do with the players, just because all of these positions have to be updated. The performance on the server has a different footprint. So the moment you start combining players and AI, there's always going to be some limit. We want to see if in the future we can maybe push these limits somewhat. At the moment, they're not easy achievable. So right now we are stuck with the 10 players. If you want to have the experience with the AI, and we feel that AI is an important part of the game, it's kind of used to reveal players to each other as they trigger combat or trigger birds and other things. So without it, the game would feel kind of empty. And even if we were to add more players, then we have the problem of spawn points and size, and it would mean quite a lot of redesign of the game mechanics, plus the technical challenge, which is not easy to overcome. So right now, we would like to stick with the 10 players until we feel safer to move forward on this.
Exactly. Okay. So we have Live Survivor once. That is phase 2. I would say. Oh yeah. Yes. So at the moment, this is also still a work in progress because we wanted to make it look nicer that it fits in the game rather than being like this. It's a red zone. Don't go here.
So this is just a placeholder texture, but basically what it shows is that if you're the guy who is currently harvesting and you move around in your 200-meter radius, which usually is absolutely enough space to do whatever you want, it just means you can't run away from all the other players in just a straight line forever. If you get close to it, just for you as the guy who is currently being the carrier, in a close by radius, you see this boundary. It's like a soft boundary. Like it kind of shows you, don't go there. If you push through this, you would start taking damage. So you want to stay inside of it. It doesn't shrink. It doesn't have any other dynamics on it. It's being created from the position you are assuming ownership. So if you killed someone, it's being redrawn from your position as a killer. If you're the guy who picks up the 4th clue, so the first one to ever pick up the 4th clue, obviously it's from the point of that clue on. So it can kind of, even throughout the same game, shift a little bit. But it's only really relevant for the player who is currently to kind of keep him contained in an area. For everybody else, it's invisible and doesn't have any relevance.
Exactly. So it doesn't shrink. It's not like that. It's only for you. And yes, it will look different in the future, so we'll try to make it look more that it fits the lore in the game. No worries.
So we have some concept arts work on it at the moment where we're trying to link it from the effect side from to the energy that we have on the clues, like this bluish energy fieldish, so that everything feels kind of like being together. I mean, thematically, what you're doing is you're absorbing something from these clues, right? And if you manage to get to 4 of these charges, basically, it empowers you. Now you're that one guy. Only one guy can be that. So if you're fast enough, you have enough energy, you're charged, and it allows you to keep the hunter in the very, very end. So it's a resurrection mechanic in a way for the hunter that you assume control of.
You try to revive this hunter and then go move on. But what also is, if someone comes outside the circle, obviously, or like your enclosed area, rather call it that, they cannot see that. So it might be a lot easier to see the carrier than it is for you to see the people outside the wall. So that's something you have to also be careful for. So technically, the person with the token is at a high risk because you obviously want that free hunter, and you have to be really careful. It's
I mean, if you take a look on the map, just if you open the game later, for example, and you know that our map is 1 square kilometer.
Yeah.
If you have a radius of 200 meters, it means it's a diameter of 400 meters. That's, almost half the length of one of the sides of the map. So we're talking about actually a pretty big area. I mean, that can easily encompass, include up to 1.5 to 2.5 compounds, depending on how it falls, etc. So there's enough space to move around, and in normal game, it shouldn't even matter. The player who is in control of the bounty should never ever even see this if he's playing his game smart.
Yes. No, it will not be seen visible on the map. It's literally just for yourself, or will it be visible for the carrier?
For the carrier, we might draw a circle so he sees it there as well. So it kind of gives him a bit of strategy. At least, how far he can
I was thinking, actually, now I was thinking about it, the more I'm saying, technically as a carrier, you have so many benefits. People can see you. You're gonna die early, even though you took the risk. It's
So we want to try out.
That's something we have to test.
We want to try it out, drawing it for the guy that is affected by it, but no one else would see it. So. In a perfect world, the other players would have a great time playing, and they would just have not the guy run away from him. Right? That's what this mechanic is supposed to do, to give us a nicer experience rather than chasing the same thing infinitely around the edge of the map until time runs out, and no one feeling they have a chance to even get to him and being frustrated by it.
Yes. Okay, let's move on. post game. So we have some special accolades. Obviously, we have the way how you claim the rewards, and the hunter will be contraband. Originally, we were not going to do that, but yeah.
So we looked at this a little bit. Maybe let's start with the last point on this one because I think it's a good point. Originally, we wanted to differentiate it so that the hunter you would get would be like a real hunter.
Yeah.
Now the problem we have had with this is that it kind of gives inconsistent rewards. It kind of puts a second strategy into the whole game mode where you try to maximize shortly before the round ends if you have a feeling you can win by putting the most expensive gear on you, like an aftermath, for example, because you know that after the round you can sell it for money. What we want, though, is we want to give players a hunter they feel happy to play with because they've built them up to. So by just making sure that the equipment they get is contraband level, they would just use that hunter as is, for the most part, play with him, have fun with him, rather than trying to milk him from additional credits. Because what should be the case is that the credits you get systemically from like collecting and harvesting the bounty, etc., getting the accolades, that should be the kind of like box within which you can earn money.
Yes.
Because selling an aftermath can easily give you more money than you could get from playing 1 or 2 of these rounds.
Exactly. Well, I can understand. I'm just seeing like some people saying like, I remember when Crytek said we would focus on to be a co-op game. Well, the reason we added a solo mode is because it was a very high requested feature, and where we also said yes, we want to focus on co-op. We want to still, as much as possible, obviously, actually give people the chance, to play hunt in multiple ways. So.
There's also like a chance for you to kind of like use both the quick play and bounty hunt, the classic mode, with like some overlapping features, right? There's some synergy between them. Like you play some quick play maybe in the afternoon, maybe your best friend isn't there, and you can play a couple rounds alone.
Yeah.
You can prepare for the evening, right? You can just like play a couple rounds. Maybe you're like successful, actually extract 1 or 2 hunters. Now you have some really cool hunters already ready for when you play with your friend, maybe in the other game mode. Like they carry over, right? Like so you earn something in quick play that you can then use in the main mode, like in the classic mode.
Exactly.
And it gives it just a different way of like looking at some of the features we have, learning some of the features you have. There's absolutely no risk because you get a free hunter. There's no investment you have to do for this. Plus you have the chance as a new player also to kind of like try out weapons that you really haven't unlocked in the main progression, right? Like there's nothing stopping a new guy in his first round to find an aftermath. That's perfectly fine and valid. He might not know how to operate it properly. He might just shoot everywhere except at the target, but he has a chance to kind of see that. And it's important for us because we often have the feeling that people are concerned about the weapon balance because they come from a position where they're exposed to these weapons on the receiving end, like they're getting shot by them, but they don't have a chance to try them out yet. So for them, they might feel like, oh, this is a super powerful weapon, but actually want to have a chance to actually like use them themselves. And that's why we introduced, for example, the weapon looting in the previous update already for the Dead Hunters. They have a chance to kind of see and get a feeling for it and actually understand maybe it's actually not that powerful because there's other drawbacks to it.
Exactly. One quick question. I saw someone who had a really good question, or like that was what B asked from the Discord. What if you kill all 9 other players before the 4th clue?
Then the time speeds up and you're the sole survivor. You're the winner.
So do you have to still gather the clues to pick it up, or do you automatically become...
No, so technically you still have to pick up the clues, but the moment you touch the bounty, and basically at the moment you get the 4th clue and you are it, like it accelerates and makes the round go over very, very quickly. So you don't have to wait until everything trickles down.
But you would still have to gather all the clues.
The clues, yes, but then again, you also find stuff in the clues, and you might still die. Maybe you run into a meathead or whatever, and you don't feel like you're up for it.
Exactly. Well, in general, I think a lot of people will have to try it out first before they... It's definitely not the same as what people think about it. It has definitely some other elements, and like that's why people have to try it. Like we need the feedback to change it because like we added the single player mode, and then people did not like it as much as expected, even though it was our biggest requested feature. So we have to try a lot of things, which means why we have to do it. People can obviously still play the regular mode. We are still actively working on it, like the boss that's in the works and the AI that's in the works.
So you have elements of like, because you see that popping up a lot here, like Royale. This is not a Royale. This has elements of a Royale, but this is not a Royale. What this is parts of what makes Hunt interesting to begin with in the main mode, but it makes it more competitive as you have an escalation happening. But there's no zone shrinking. There's no typical Royale mechanics in there. There's some elements of it, but what we try to do is we give you like a second game mode, something like you could call it like the kind of like the lunch break mode, right? Like it's a quick jump in 15 minutes. You know what you're getting into. You play a couple of these rounds. You can train. You can get experience. You don't have the same risk as in the main mode, but the rewards you earn are actually usable in the main mode. So we hope that like people moving to and fro rather than splitting, right? That's the important part.
And also like it will also be a better mode for some people that are not used to the actual like hardcore, you know, game how hunt is played, like the classic mode, because like a lot of people think it's either too hard or they're like afraid to lose hunters, even though we still have the free hunter. People want to try out more. They want to try out because like you can go as like a rank 0 or like rank 1 player and you can still find an aftermath. So it's not like, oh, I cannot play with, you know, like higher level weapons and stuff. You get the chance to try it out, and then maybe it will help you also, you know, like progress towards the actual mode to have like an easier time. So it's sort of like practicing as well.
Let's wrap up the remaining points here.
So accolades.
So what you see here is basically how a summary screen typically looks like if you play Quickplay. So in this case, the guy has been the sole survivor. Haha. He's basically been the last guy to be in possession of the bounty as it ran out. He also harvested 427 bounty points, and coincidentally he also was the first harvester, which means he gets a bonus for being the first guy. So there's a reward, there's a guaranteed 100 bounty in this case if you are the first one to get the 4 clues. So there's a bit of a competition to be that guy. And then the bounty harvested obviously changes depending on how long you were in possession. This could have been just 27 if you would have died very quickly after taking it. So apart from that, that's basically the big parts. So
we I'm sorry, I was like busy reading, but like as you can see, like the total bounty, like obviously that will be different depending on like how long you had the total bounty. But if you die, so if you weren't a survivor, you still have bounty harvests if you actually got like the bounty. So you still get something. It's not like all for nothing. Bloodline rank lol. So this is to explain how it works with recruits. Obviously, if you have 5 hunters, you would have to get rid of them one before you get the actual like recruit. Oh wait, actually I thought it was.
But however, so as you can see here, there's one guy. Now he goes to recruitment, but there's a new tab up there on the top that says Quickplay Recruits. We're still working on the UI graphics of this to make this a bit more apparent, visible.
So that's the guy I got out with.
Yeah. So in this case, Yannick had Wilmer Weezer, and he had a very, very powerful Winfield, nothing else, and he earned a couple of trades from that. So in this case, this is a guy she got for free with all of the equipment.
I mean, I didn't pick up equipment because I was like...
So for testing purposes, it was a very basic here. But normally, this could be a guy now fully equipped with like a pump-action shotgun, an uppercut pistol, a Dolch pistol, whatever you found. Really could be an aftermath there. He could have at least one trade and one consumable, because we talked about this, like you can only have while you play Quick Play, one of each. That makes it easier for the weapon swapping, kind of like quickly find stuff, and makes it also more relevant for what you're choosing. Obviously, once you take him out, he gets the full slots, and then you can equip him normally. But this guy is now a tier 1, actually tier 3, but level 1 guy, and he would be fully equipped, ready to go. And it's just a different, interesting way of playing with a new hunter because you've earned him from the other game mode.
Yes, will always be 3 large health bars for the hunter you pick up.
It mixes. So it's random like with the normal recruits. So your starting condition changes.
But what about the burning then? Because that's actually a good point. Because like I personally don't even know that because I have never experienced it so far when playing testing it. What if you burn when you pick up the bounty? Do you also like, because obviously back in the day when you banish, you know
what we talked about
in the normal game mode.
So what we talked about is that if you're the one who wins, because it's only relevant for the one guy that wins, we fully restore the health to what we had in the beginning.
That makes sense.
So even if you barely made it out and you're like burned to death, we don't want you to have earned like a new tier 1
with
like
a small 25 health.
Yeah, well, 50 is a minimum, but still like a small very little health, right? I mean that would that guy will very likely die the moment you take him into a mission because you don't yet have any upgrade points to kind of pay back the health. So if you win, he always gets full chunks back.
Yes.
So that's just a convenience thing.
Gotcha. So like as he showed, like you just recruit him by the extra recruited, and it will just show that the hunter was made from Quickplay recruits, so you can always recruit them for free.
Yeah. So what this solution for gives to us is basically, rather than having to override one of your 5 hunters or telling you, hey, you don't have space for this guy, like by shifting them into a different recruitment tab, it's up to you when you want to recruit them into your bloodline. So if you currently are full, maybe you want to keep him there like for 1 or 2 rounds until maybe one of the other hunters guys, and you just go there and recruit them. It will keep track of the last 4 guys you got out of Quickplay. So obviously, once you've won the 5th Quickplay round and you haven't claimed any of them, the one you've earned in the first round will be overwritten. So they kind of move out and new ones come in. But the last 4 are the ones you see on the Quickplay recruits, and it's the ones you can then for free recruit into your bloodline.
Good question. They start as level 1, yeah.
Yes, they're level 1.
So even if you get out successfully, you still have to level them because you recruit them as like still fresh, but you have that equipment and those like.
And depending on how many clues you've picked up during Quickplay, every time you do so, you get a random trait added to your guy. They might come with some pretty cool traits already.
Yeah, and you cannot continue after 4 clues. So it's like
4's the maximum.
Yeah, exactly.
1 player in a round can have 4 clues. Then clues gathering stops for everybody, and now it's time to kill that one guy and try to take it from him.
Will Quickplay have separate stats?
Yes, we want to have different stats. We don't have different KD. We want to have different completion stuff around it. So we have to see whether this will be an initial version on the test server, or if we only can finish the stat stuff as we go on the live version afterwards.
Yeah.
But we would like to separate the stats from the bounty hunt mode so that people can kind of compare, because there might be people who maybe just only want to play quick play, and at least they have a chance to see how they're doing in this particular mode compared to the other.
Yeah.
And I think it just makes it more measurable for you, like how you're doing.
And it's right down. Was that now as well?
That's later.
Later,
much later.
Okay. I didn't say anything. You haven't heard anything. I wasn't sure anymore because changes a lot.
No, perfectly fine. So it just with the stats, it gives you a chance to just like measure your success a little bit, and you can do that both for individually or separately for Bounty Hunt Classic and for the new Quick Play.
Yes. Okay. So we have some other improvements. Tell us. No, it's not.
So that was Quick Play.
Yeah.
Save your questions. Send them to us. We do Q&A in the very end. So if you have more questions about Quick Play, we gladly go back and explain a bit more in detail in the second part. Now
we got some more stuff
because 4.0 is not just Quick Play. There's more to it. So let's talk about the gunplay improvements. So what we've been doing is we've identified some points which are a bit awkward right now in the game, and one of those points is how you go and switch between weapons. So I don't mean picking up weapons on the ground, but I actually mean like selecting what you carry. So going from a shotgun to a pistol, for example. So what we've been doing over the last couple of weeks was normalizing some of the deselect animations, so that we kind of like shortened them to an overall. Some weapons were already in pretty good position. Some weapons took a little bit longer. The player had to kind of learn for each weapon how long it roughly took to go, and that could feel a bit inconsistent as you try to quickly pull out your backup like sidearm or whatever.
Yeah, it just takes long in general.
So in general, like going from one weapon to another feels a lot more consistent. The same is true, obviously, for explosives. The rule is that the long weapons take a little bit longer, the handguns are a little bit shorter, and consumables like bombs, etc., are even like shorter.
Yeah.
So there's like 3 different categories. Like the hand cannons, they're treated as the big weapons, and the melees, they're like the machete and the saber, they're treated like the handguns, basically.
Exactly.
Something like a wood axe is treated as a long weapon. So they kind of like fall into either the longer or the shorter category, and then we have an even shorter for the consumables.
Yes.
And we have videos for that.
So to give you an idea how it looks like and how fast it is to switch.
So what you can do with this is just much faster, much more reliable. For example, go to your backup. We've seen that already with some of the people playing, especially like some of the experienced streamers. They have come up with their own little strategies how they can quickly interrupt certain reloads, certain weapon swaps, etc., in order to kind of optimize. And with this particularly here, we tried to make this more accessible for everybody. It was kind of interfering. Photobombing us here.
Yeah. Another thing is faster. Throwing.
So
prepping, right?
The prepping of it. You see with the hive bomb. You remember, like hive bomb has been pretty awkward, like kind of shaking this like for like a minute or so.
5 minutes later, still shaking.
And so everything has been normalized. Again, the idea is that if you want to go from your weapon to a grenade, to throw a grenade, the time it takes, no matter what grenade you have, is roughly the same. So you can kind of learn these timings, you can more reliably use them. So we kind of went back, cleaned up a lot of animations, shortened some of them which were a bit too fluffed out, and just made sure across the board it's more consistent and it feels much nicer. So it's a quality of life improvement. It's pretty interesting here what you can see actually as you go away from the pistol. You can see that in a second. And it goes back to the pistol after firing, and you can instantly, actually I think it was the beginning of it, let me just go back to this.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, so let me see. Okay, so he wait for it. So he shoots with a pistol, cocks the hammer, shoots with a pistol, cocks the hammer. Now he deselects it, reloads the shotgun. And I think now it happens. He fires the pistol, quickly switches before he cocks the weapon, goes to the pistol, goes back to the pistol and fires again. Now the reason for that is that because on drawing of the pistol, he already cocks the hammer. So he's already done this preparation. At the moment on live, what happens is that you actually see him cock the hammer back twice. And that is actually wrong. That's not how it should be. That's just part of how the mechanic works at the moment. The same is true like for like bolt action rifles, etc.
He cocks the hammer and he cocks it again.
Grow up.
Well, I meant more that he should be a commentator. Like, can you believe it?
So technically, what you will see here, as you can see in that video, everything is a bit smoother. It's a bit faster. You still have the same weapons. You still have the same cumbersomeness of the weapons. Like between shots, you still need to like pull the hammer back between like single action shotguns, like the revolver, like the uppercut. But overall, swapping to and fro from your backup to your primary or certain items is just a bit more convenient, a bit nicer. And I think it's a great improvement. And together with Quickplay, I think they both go hand in hand. It's going to be a quality of life improvement that just makes Gunplay even more intense and fast and fun.
AI changes.
So yeah, you want to go further?
Okay, so hellhounds now get damaged if you shoot them, and we could not get an image or a video for that for now because it's pretty gross. But we do have hellhound masks that you guys have been wanting for a while, or at least you wanted it, but you don't really want it. Obviously, the hellhounds are now like a little bit less lethal, I would say, compared to before. Like they don't mess you up in like 1 second and you're dead.
Yes.
But obviously, we're not giving all hellhounds a mask.
No, it's basically the idea is with the changes, and that's why we had to sit on that change for quite a while. Like it only made sense to go forward with this as we kind of like found time to improve the hellhounds as we did in 3.0. So this is the second part of that upgrade. So you see the body dismemberment, which is basically, as you see on other enemies, like if you kill them, you might dismember the legs, you might dismember the head, or like in a similar level as we've seen on the ground. So it just gives you a different kill satisfaction, a reward visually. And the masks are so that there is a chance for one hellhound in a pack, just one, to actually have a metal mask on, and that metal mask obviously makes it much harder to shoot him. So in this case, you need to kind of like identify this guy, maybe kill him in a different way. It just is meant to just break things up slightly. They're not meant to be all armored. We don't have like armored cavalry like hellhounds now.
Tank horses, tank dogs, like just.
The idea is to break things up a little bit. Like once in a while, one hellhound might be a little bit different, and in this case, you need to deal with him in a different way. Maybe it's the one you want to kill first. Maybe it's the one you want to like shoot with a high-powered weapon.
Yeah.
Doesn't make him completely invincible. So like I think with a long bullet, it's like it absorbs half the damage.
Yeah. One person asked, "Can you break the mask?" That's actually a good question.
No, you can't break them, but they kind of like bolted. I think we have a nice image for it actually in a second.
Yeah. Do we want to like? Let's just look at them first.
Yeah.
Look how cool they are. Aren't they beautiful? This is some nice masks.
So if you encounter this particular guy, maybe you want to kill him differently. Maybe you want to shoot him in the body, or maybe you have a nitro, then it doesn't really matter, I guess. Or if you have a long bullet, then maybe just need to consider that follow-up shot.
The doggos. Yeah, he's the pack leader. He's definitely the alpha dog. So he is definitely not a very good boy.
Just like we have the variations on the grunts, where like here, like some of them have the blade, some of them have the torches. There's a bit more variety we're going to add with this. Things which kind of break things up, the monotony of having fought like a million hellhounds before. Once in a while, one of them can be a little bit different now.
Exactly. It's not even every pack, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure at one point we want to do an event where all of them have it.
Anti-dogs.
So, and then there's a third point here, which is that headshots are now silent. So I think you've seen a glimpse of that already with the throwing knives, where once in a while the guys would just drop dead without making any noise. That was the first. Exactly. That was like the first test we did, but we were lacking the system to make this consistent. So with the headshots are now silent, what it means is that if you shoot someone in the face and they die from it, or in the back of the head for that purpose, if you kill them with a headshot, then they don't do like long growling noises or like strong body falls, etc. Which means if you're you're tactical, if you're careful with a silenced pistol, with throwing knives, with melee attacks, you can just drop enemies without drawing too much attention. Obviously, you need to be good to do that. You need to be taking your time. You need to be careful. But if you need to really get rid of that one guy that's in your way, then you know what, hunters are around, they're onto you. You may have a chance to quickly throw the knife at that one guy, kill him with a silent head throw, and just make your escape or get into a better position. So it's again one of those things which allows you to just be more effective. For players, we intentionally didn't do it because we really rely on the player dev sound. I think if there's one sound which is the most important sound I think we have in the game, as we noticed recently when it was missing on the test server, it's the player dev sound. You need to have that sound. You need to understand when you kill the player. So this goes for AI and AI only.
Yes, it's just more like, especially if you have indeed like a silent pistol, and you know, like the silent pistol can use some love in general. They can use some love in general. Dennis, use some love.
Doesn't it feel loved now more though?
A little bit, yeah. And then you can at least, you know, because people can still hear it. So now it's how it works. Yeah, exactly like that. They're very silent but deadly.
All right. So that's when it comes to AI changes, but we have more.
Yeah. So look at the dogs again. Aren't they beautiful? They are so beautiful.
Yeah, very.
So we have
beautiful
challenges. What is that?
Yeah. So a new thing that comes with 4.0 is challenges. Yes. So both daily and weekly challenges we're introducing to the game. This is basically just give players, in addition to just playing the game, a bit of like a small little thing to complete here and there. So there's like a huge pool of small things to do. The daily ones are rather easy to complete. I mean, there's one example here is kill 3 or more leeches with one attack. So you obviously just throwing like one dynamite or lantern or whatever into a group of leeches might very likely award you that particular daily challenge. There's others which go like kill like 20, 30 grunts or do specific things there. We don't have the full list here, but it just means that as you play the game normally, you have these little small things which give you additional rewards, and both on the daily challenge, which resets every 24 hours, as well as the weekly challenge, which is basically once a week. Yeah. And now the rewards obviously are much higher for the weekly challenge than is for the daily challenge. What you can see here, I'm going to use the mouse cursor to highlight this a little bit. Yeah. What you see here is like the daily challenges, and right next to is the weekly challenge. And important here is to look at the rewards. So we classify the rewards into 3 different levels of quality. So we have bronze, silver, and gold rewards, and they're kind of split between different things. For example, they're split between handguns, melee, explosives, support items, as well as like rifles, etc., shotguns. So you don't really understand what you get exactly, but you understand in what category you get something, and also if it is going to be a lower quality, like for example, the bronze explosive, it could be a single dynamite stick, for example, or if it's like a golden melee, which could be
everyone
a saber.
Gets an aftermath. I'm joking.
And the aftermath is definitely a possibility if we have a golden rifle in there. It's just that as you claim the reward, once you've finished it, you only at that point understand really what you've gotten. So the weekly challenge is pretty interesting because it gives you up to 5 things. In this case, it's five rewards. So it gives you a medium, so a silver tiered a pistol, a melee weapon, explosive, and 2 support items. So as you claim this reward, you might get, I know this could be, for example, an officer brawler. It could even be a dolch, I think. This could be a machete, or a weapon with a bayonet, I think is even included there.
These UI changes are not final. No worries, guys.
And then this could be like a dynamite bundle or a frag bomb, and then you might get like a vitality shot and I don't know, some other tool.
Question: are these contraband?
No, those are real rewards. So you can also just cash in on those. So if you don't want them, you can just sell them afterwards. But they're given as proper true rewards, and that's going to be important for something we talk about in a minute or two.
Exactly. So, as you can also track them on the map. So whenever you're in the game, you can track.
Can I see
how challenges, how far you're?
How far you're doing? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay.
So
it's pretty straightforward. It's what we would like to see with the system is just that people get like some how you call it, like they're breaking out of their monotony a little bit. Yeah. So in addition to completing the objective, like you have this other small thing that might be important to you, like you definitely want to maybe come or like near to like a meathead, for example, because it might be part of your daily challenge. Well, normally you might avoid them all the time. Just break things up a little bit and gives you like just a number of small rewards. And moving forward, we would like to expand the pool of possible rewards from this. At the moment, it's just you get some free samples of these bronze, silver, or gold tiered weapons, or you might get some money as well.
I just see.
What's the question?
Look at this. I beat all over my shoe.
Well,
I mean, gotta take care of yourself. Okay, we're changing some other stuff.
Yes. So something we talked about already a little bit, hinting that this would come with the last update when we talked about the contraband weapons and the new stuff. So we want to be able to do price changes without you guys buying 2,000 sabers.
Yeah.
I think in a nutshell, that's what it comes down to. Now,
I think the max silver we bought is like 10,000, and then we didn't change the price, and then they were did it all for nothing.
Yeah. Failed spawner, just a nice happy wave at you. Still got those sabers.
12,000 sabers.
Now, basically, what we're doing with 4.0 is we are adding some limits to how much of a particular type you can hold in your inventory. So we're starting with a set of numbers. We need feedback on those. It might be that we want to increase them a little bit, like maybe 5 or 10 or 1, depending on what the things there is a bit too low. Maybe it's going to be more 10, 20. Again, this is where we need your feedback to see how you feel this plays.
So don't worry, it can get higher. I see a lot of people are like, oh my god, it's such a low limit. We need more, but
the limit is subject to change based on your feedback. But at the moment, what the starting point for us is that we say we give you 5 times the space for a particular weapon, so 5 Winchester Cs, and then you can have 5 Winchesters, you can have 5 Winchester silencers. So every particular type of a weapon would have that limit. For consumables, obviously, because you're going to go through them much faster, you usually have also higher stockpiles of them. At the moment, we would set it to 10 of them. Maybe again, it could be too low. Maybe it's going to be 20 or 30. Again, based on your feedback. And then we want to make sure that you can only ever have 1 contraband of each. Now, this is a little bit to work around what we already talked about when we introduced the contraband weapons, that for the time being, it's fine if people kind of stockpile them. But we would like to keep a bit more control about like how many of those are in circulation. So that means a maximum of 1 contraband version of a weapon is what you can have.
I don't think I see someone's like, is it also what you have equipped on a hunter? But it's just for your inventory itself.
Exactly.
And it's just for what you buy. So it's like if you have a hunter or it comes in with like extra, that's fine. It's literally only what you buy in the shop. So you cannot buy more than having 5. If you have 5 aftermaths, you cannot buy a 6th aftermath.
Exactly. So if you have something on a hunter, it doesn't count against this. And even like, so let's assume you have 10 aftermaths in your inventory, right? Like in your arsenal. Now you have 1 hunter who also has an aftermath. You can also just unequip this. You won't hit the limit. Now you have 11 out of 10 capacity. It doesn't affect the real items you have. You can still unequip them, and there's no annoying pop-ups getting in the way. It just means that you can only buy again if you have like less than 10. That means also if you earn one from, let's say, one of those challenges we just presented, they just add up on top of the pool, which is perfectly fine. You exceed those limits to keep it convenient. It's just that we don't want people to, and that's the most of the reason why people have been doing that specifically for weapons in the past, is because price changes to kind of like stockpile to sell the stuff with a profit afterwards. And it kind of helps us to be more open with price changes on the test server, while you guys at least have not an easy incentive here to kind of like get rich in the process.
So I see some questions about the contraband. So like what happens, for example, because I think that's not clear, like you already have a contraband aftermath, but you come out with a hunter with an aftermath as well.
So the contrabands would be replaced by the other one. So let's assume you have a contraband in your arsenal, and you come out with a hunter who also has a contraband aftermath other mission. In this case, if you want to unequip that contraband, it would override the other one, basically. It would tell you like this one is lost on unequipment, because you can have a maximum of 1 contraband. That means though you can still keep it on the hunter. I mean, the idea of contraband is that you can use them. You're not supposed to sell them anyways, as you don't get money for them. There is no reason to really stockpile them. So if you ever get another contraband, use it, have fun with it, play with it, rather than trying to stockpile it for later.
Makes sense. So you can equip it on the hunter and then just like, still get one. But
Yeah.
it's more to prevent, from your. You don't need 10 of the same thing. You don't. I mean, it seems nice, but you don't need it if you don't use it. I mean, it's not like you look at it. Like, look at my
again, those numbers. We need feedback. We will see if we need to raise them up a little bit. But
can go higher.
There's an important thing to talk about here, which is, but what if I'm sitting on 2,000 sabers, like maybe certain Prestige 50 individuals might actually have at the moment? What happens to those 2,000 sabers, or rather those 1,990 sabers? They will be auto sold. So basically you get automatically the current sell price of those added to your account. So you don't need to manually do any of that. We automated this process. So as 4.0 would go live, it just converts everything which is in excess over to be basically converted into money.
Exactly. So yeah,
I assume that probably Failed Spawner didn't have any money issues before that anyway. So
no, but
there's some extra cash right there for you.
Speaking of money, we're changing the money changes.
All right. Another thing is, so we've seen a lot of money inflation happening in the game, and so far until we released 3.0, the last update. There weren't very many options we had in order to allow new players to accumulate money, like to get more money, earn more money, rather than giving them either starting money, giving them rewards as they leveled up, or if they rank 100, like with the infinite loop. Now we have 3 additional mechanics. We have Quickplay as a new one coming out. We already have the free tier 1 hunters in your recruitment. And we have the challenges.
Weapon also, I mean,
it's technically, yeah. So we have like 3 main systems at the moment which allow you to, without a risk, earn money. Like find clues, grind, etc. You don't lose money anymore if you take advantage of any of those 3 systems. Now that means we are now in a position where we can wind back a little bit on the rewards that we can give players as they play from progression.
Yeah.
So what we do is we boost a little bit the starting money. So we raise it from 3K to 4K just to give you a bit more initially. We also then do changes to the empty ranks, so they go from 1,000 to 200. So empty ranks means whenever you level up, you find like a new rank in your bloodline, and there is no item, no unlock, no trade linked to it. It's an empty slot. Instead, we give you money. And so I think for tier 1 at the moment, Bloodline tier 1, there's like 2 or 3 of these ranks where we give you money. So you kind of so far got like 3K out of this one. I think there was actually none in tier 2. Like between ranks 34 and 66, and then I think we had like 13 or so, even more as we kind of filled up the more empty ranks in tier 3. So in general, you get a bit of money, but you don't get as much money anymore. And also the tier jumps went from 5K to just 1K, and the famous 666 you got from the loop bonus now is also just 200 consistently.
I think people are more upset that it's 666 rather than a higher amount than 200 for some reason.
Keep in mind the 666 we have seen popping up here and there throughout the game. Like initially, if you think a lot back, the initial starting money we gave the player was also 666 during our closed alpha early access phase, so. I wouldn't be surprised if the 666 starts popping up again somewhere else.
Exactly. I understand, like, a lot of people are now like, why didn't you from the money? Obviously, as we explained, with the quick play, you'll get even more free hunters. There is always a free hunter. Like, you would always be able to play with gear for free at any time,
or complete challenges, or in quick challenges, earn a new hunter, even like a totally competitive hunter in quick play.
Exactly. So you don't have to be broke because you technically don't have to pay ever. Yes. Technically, like. Yes.
There's a question: what is a tier jump? The tier jump is the bonus that we're giving players if they go from their bloodline rank tier 1. So this is basically rank 33 to 34. And then when they jump from tier 2 to tier 3, which is from 66 to 67 ranks. We give you like a big chunk of money right now. It's 5K, and this would be reduced to 1K with these changes. Also, there's one thing to keep in mind around the loop bonus. So this is like for the rank 100 guys that basically have this reoccurring experience, and that means that the 8K experience points you need to accumulate actually has been lowered to 5K. So it means it's still going to be a lot less than 666, but you might see those 200 pop up more frequently now as well. So it's like 3K less XP. 5K to be precise, rather than 8K, to get this recurring 200 bonus.
Well, that's the thing. You cannot no longer stock for your tier 100 gear because that will have a limit of one contraband.
Yes.
So there's no point to hog all the free gear
Yes.
from a tier 100.
We want people, like, the contraband mechanic is primarily to make people experience the content. Like, so steal it from a dead guy, or get it from a earned Quickplay hunter, but then use it, play with it, have fun with it, rather than stockpiling it.
Yes.
You can't make a profit of it anyways, so don't save it up. Add something cool to it. Go and play. That's the intention of it. That's what we want people to do with it.
Yeah. So we have, in the regular mode, you can do challenges for money, which is new. You get the free tier hunter always still. The tier 1. You can still pick up a better weapon from a player in the map that you kill.
Absolutely.
So there are so many ways that you can get in with either for free or go in with a low tier weapon and still pick up a very expensive weapon and play with that. So there are many possibilities without actually having to spend a lot of money on playing the game.
This is something where you will see with 4.0, there's going to be a bit of a dynamic shift within the meta. Like,
exactly.
It's like how you experience content. The way we want to approach this, and the way we're trying to roll these changes out, is to keep what is there pristine for the most part. So if you enjoy Hunt the way it is at the moment, there's not going to be a great deal changing about it. You can play with your friend against other people in the normal way on the 2 maps we have, extracting bounty, being risky, doing the things you like. But there is the second pillar, like besides that we're now introducing, which is a way for people to kind of prepare for the matches in the other mode, in Bounty Hunt, through playing a quick play. But also in general, like, if they don't have that much time, that much commitment, they can just go in and have some fun. They can still learn the game because of the similarities between the 2 modes, like the clue collection, the way you encounter players. The tactical aspect are pretty much the same thing. They're trying to, like, whatever you learn in quick play actually benefits you in the normal mode, and vice versa. You have a chance to like, if you're a new player and you would just play quick play for the first 10 matches, you would, I guarantee you, have a much easier time with your first game in Bounty Hunt, like in the get-go. So it's important for us that we don't divert, we don't separate the community between 2 different modes, but to actually have just a different experience of the same thing, technically, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm just reading through some of the questions because, like, a lot of people are like thinking it's gonna change a lot. I personally think that you guys all should give it a go and then give us
very soon
feedback.
Very soon.
Very soon.
So at the moment we're looking into test server deployment in this week. Looks promising at the moment. I can't promise it completely, obviously.
Oh, that one. Sorry. Like, we'll have both maps Quickplay or just one?
At the moment, Quickplay is planned for both maps off the get-go. Also, there was this one change we can talk about in a second. Actually, I can talk about it right now, but it affects the new map. So with 4.0, we're going to move Lawson Delta, the new map, into the normal random rotation as well. Yeah. So that if you're clicking on a random mission, you will be able to get either one or the other. So we're basically moving into the next state of developing Lawson Delta by just having it like appear in the normal rules for quick play, but also for the random mission, etc. Obviously, you might still find a separate mission with that map, but if you just play like a random mission now, you might end up on Stillwater Bayou, or you might end up in Lawson Delta.
Yes. Okay, that means we still have, I think, one thing left. The level changes.
Yes. So let's start with the first thing here. Yeah. So Lawson Delta. With 4.0, we mentioned at the very beginning, 4.0 is primarily a main update because we want to roll out a new version of Lawson Delta. So we've seen like a lot of changes that's been done by our level team, by the art team, kind of like replacing some of the white box assets, fixing out of bugs and issues, repositioning spawn points, more cover. Just overall quality of things has improved across the board. So we don't even have like a detailed list here. The best thing for you guys is that once you make it available on test server, you just play it, you enjoy it, you see what you discover. There's lots of things to be discovered. Like, you should overall see a much higher quality of the details inside the compounds, like the different areas, etc. So you should see just the map from a quality perspective, just feeling nicer, more enjoyable, being taken to the next level. So we're not going to go into detail about what it all means here right now. We leave that for you guys to actually try out on the test server once it goes there.
We also don't have any screenshots of the new changes for Lawson Delta.
But they're awesome.
But they're awesome. But we
So-
had some changes for the original map.
for our original map, which we internally call Cemetery. But this refers to obviously the Stillwater Bayou. So what you can see here, Bayou. What you can see here at the moment is the different spawn points, and
Yeah.
what we've seen is that specifically the top left and the bottom right corner are pretty challenging if you spawn there. To say they could also be borderline frustrating sometimes. Now, what we try to do is tackle those two areas in particular. So what we see here is how particular spawn points as a first step have been moved. So especially in the top left, you see that you see these little red arrows up here.
Yeah.
So you see them move from one position to their new position. So actually the corner one moved a little bit more in, while the one above has moved a little bit to the east side. The main idea between like those changes for the changes is it gives you more direction, right? Like so in this one here, you're more likely to actually commit to going to the lumber sector rather than going pushing into the fish farm sector. So
yeah, because you have the path of the two directly in the middle of the.
And we did something similar in the bottom where we moved the southwestern.
Oh, you guys can see it? No, there's nothing here. Oh, wrong way.
There's literally nothing there.
There is nothing. Nothing there.
So it's one spawn point change on the bottom, which kind of moves a little bit closer to the slaughterhouse area, so that players are also more likely to go there rather than again pushing into catfish. Now, since the corners usually have a higher concentration of spawn points, having like two like adjacent map borders, that means just systemically there's more players currently converging on that. And by doing these changes, we kind of separate them out a little bit. I think you can move back to the position. So in general, we also updated the positions around these points. So in next screenshots, we're going to go through those step by step. Actually, let me see. We start on the bottom. So with A, B, C, and then afterwards we go and shift back up to D, E, F, and G, just to show you a little bit like how it looks at the moment and what are the changes for it.
I want to like make sure that I'm not. Wait, I'll smooth myself.
I mean, there's nothing next to B.
I know, but this is better if people can see it.
Okay. So let's start with A. So in this case, we move the spawn point a little bit closer to slaughterhouse, and so you can see like the pathing has been updated a little bit, so that the players actually just like have more of a natural flow towards slaughterhouse to the left side rather than going on the right side along the last like the big open space towards catfish. With spawn point B, there was the one in the far south. We basically rearrange the paths, so you have more options to move left, right, etc. We also give you more cover. This is especially important when it comes to like water devils and kind of like boxing you to a specific area or grunts patrolling on it. Again, there's a synergy of different mechanics kicking in here. It's the silent headshots, which allow you to get rid of some of these blockers that before would always reveal you to other players, as the dying sounds of the grunts, etc. kind of revealed you. Plus, obviously, the pathing options we improved here so that people can kind of move around. Have a bit more options depending if there's crows left, right, etc. There's always like an alternative path for you to go and explore, and you have a bit more cover as you go and get closer to the compounds.
We're both in the way. It will never stop.
Yeah, it reads options and cover. Yeah, just move us around.
Well, they can't see.
You need to keep on moving us now from screenshot to screenshot.
Okay, yeah. There we go. And we're going to.
Okay, then we look at the last one in the southeast corner. So in this case, as you can see, like in the small one, we had a pretty open area. So like very few trees. You can see, I mean, just use the cursor here. Very open, very exposed, very easy to see as you move to the compound with the guys starting in the south. Like you might very often end up in firefights being fired at as you even were moving still to the area. So everything has been changed a little bit to give you more cover as you safely approach into the compound. And kind of like has given you a bit more options to avoid water devils or AI and other enemies around. Just make it more fair for these spawn points to move into this area. Then we are going to move up to the northwest at Crawfish Fish Factory. So this is spawn point D. Let me actually go quickly back to the map so you guys can put this in perspective. Again, the ones we're going to look at now is going to be D, E, F, and G. So we're going to move from the west to the north, northeast, and further east. So
Yep.
this is the first one, the westmost. As you can see, like this is the boss building. You're directly west of the boss building here. So we improved the approach of it. As you can see, there's overall a bit less water there. So we kind of like receded the water, made sure you have more clearer paths to move into the compound. There's still going to be some barriers, and you might want to jump over something here and there, but it's a bit more accessible. It's not as swampy as it was before. And then we have
I lost my foot. Crawfish. Yeah.
crownfish, crawfish, crowfish.
No.
And this is the next one. This is the one which was in the far north. As you can see here, again, this is the boss building. This is this isolated small hut that was a little bit to the north halfway through. So this spawn point actually has moved a little bit away from the edge of the map down into the area. But since everything around it has been cleared out, it actually feels much nicer. And again, we've kind of gotten rid of some of the water, just made it a bit easier to verse around, give you a couple more walk paths. Exactly. So, I mean, there might still be water devils, they might still restrict you, which is their purpose, but you have more options. You don't feel boxed in. There was always, like, especially in northwest and in the southeast, the problem that the water devils kind of dictated what you could do and very often just forced you to reveal yourself. And with other nearby teams, you were at a severe disadvantage. So
I know a lot of people want a snow map, but it's not as easy to make. Trust me.
How do we shift from that to a snow map now?
I mean, we can just make it snow wherever we want. I mean, global warming. Global warming cools everything down. That's how it works, right?
I mean, at the moment, the water recedes, so we see more land. Now, this is the spawn point that was directly basically northeast of
Mill and Lumber.
Of Mill. I can go back to the chart for you guys. So this is basically around this area here, and this has been moved a little bit to the east. Going back to it. So now this spawn point basically moves you a little bit closer to the mill, which means players are less likely to move into the corner compound, but maybe actually push towards mill. And as such, relieve the corner a little bit from too many players trying to rush there in the beginning. Also, we open up some of the paths a little bit, just like suggest you to really go there. The player leading has been improved. Plus, obviously, cover options to avoid like getting camped or like spawn attacked too quickly. And then the last change, this is more of a consequential change. This is the one which is on the northeast side of the sawmill compound.
Yeah.
So this one has been just moved slightly, like, but it's mostly about adding additional like cover to it. For example, like it's being bigger, like bushes, trees being added there as a side protection, so you can't just like shoot across the field. There's some elevation we added to the hill to kind of like serve as more like hard cover for the guys spawning, possibly as your neighbors on the right hand side. And it just means that like this compound, like this spawn point had to change slightly in order to be much fairer, but also be more protected by having these like hay bales, hail stacks there, and just overall makes it feel consistent with the other spawns.
Yeah.
That's it. I think what we've been doing.
That was it. Yeah. So.
Yay. Update 4.0.
Yeah.
So this is what we have in store for you guys. Again, we aim on hitting the test server later this week if everything works out. We still want to iron out some of the bugs. Plus, we still want to improve some of the readability, and specifically in Quickplay. You've seen like some of the work in progress art we still have in for playtesting purposes. Yeah. And once we have that basically ready, hopefully like towards the second half of this week, we roll this out on the test server, and then it's up to you guys to provide us feedback again. Because again, we need your feedback. It's very, very important. Be that for inventory size limits, whether it's a good idea or it's a bad idea, how much you think is like a good number for limits. What do you think about Quickplay? Like, is it a good mode? Do you think it's worthwhile? Do you think that you see potential risks with it or issues with it?
I'm actually curious. We can do a poll.
Yeah, poll
on Twitch. It only works in Twitch.
Twitch polls.
Do you like Quickplay? Or, well, I mean, you can't obviously say because you haven't tried it, but like I'm very curious to see what your first opinion is on Quickplay.
Future technology.
Future technology. There should be something on the stream if you're watching on Twitch where you can vote.
Let's see if that works. Never used that. So I think people are trying to vote now in chat, but I think it should be a poll popping up somewhere, right?
Yeah, I think it should be pop up.
Yeah. In any case, we will also continue doing polls in our Discord channel. Like we'll start like put like surveys out for you guys to give us a bit more detailed feedback.
It's on the screen. On Twitch.
and just have a chance to feedback to us what you like about particular changes, what you hate, what you think you would do differently, where you see some risks, where maybe it wasn't clear enough, like what the different options are. So it might feel weird to you guys because maybe you didn't quite understand how
exactly.
it fits in. But again, there's going to be a test over period, like with any big update we do, and in that update, in the test period, like we would like to get feedback from you guys, listen to you guys, and adjust along the way, as you've been doing, I think, very successfully with update 3.0 and some of the previous updates as well.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll close it in a second. I'm just very curious. So at the moment, 83% wins. It's sad that you can't see like the actual total, but like 83% likes it, 70% doesn't like it.
Okay, that's pretty encouraging and promising already.
Yeah,
Again,
I mean, obviously,
once you guys have a chance to actually try it out later this week, hopefully, then like there was going to be feedback threads about it, etc. Make sure that you let us know what you think about it, what you feel it lacks, or what you really like and would like to see more in that mode, and we'll see how it goes from there.
Exactly. So yeah, I would do a quick recap, but it's quite a lot of information.
Are you sure you're up for another of those recaps?
A wrap cap? No. Okay. So what we have is Quickplay 4.0 is gonna have Quickplay, which is a new game mode, where you are in 50 minutes try to get 4 clues the first, or like it doesn't have to, but then you can get the bounty on you. You are the harvesting, and then you get as much points as you can get, and hopefully stay alive, because then you can take your hunter out, keep that, will be contraband, and also the bounty of the war, like amount of money you have harvested, you keep as well. And then obviously when you're the last person, you stay in a zone, or you have to stay in the zone when you stay alive. Actually, I'm going reverse. Doesn't matter. Anyways, you get that hunter, you can recruit him for free, just like you recruit other hunters in a special Quickplay hunter tab when you recruit. Then what we have some AI changes. Well, that's already explained. We have AI changes. Oh, gunplay
improvements first.
Things go faster. That's just how you can do things faster. You can easily swap left, right, quickly throw weapons, or like throw weapons,
consumables,
like
bombs. Yeah,
just throw the weapons. They don't have to shake 500 hours anymore. It's like your hive is ready. Or hive bomb rather. We have AI changes where we have masks on some of the hellhounds that look really awesome. Body dismemberment, so if you shoot them, they will like
if you kill
lose
them,
more,
lose more on death, like the other
exactly.
AI. Yes.
The headshots are now silent, so if you hit a headshot on AI only, you don't have the death sound, so it's not like so still you can
do it again.
You can stay, not so visible and also quiet. So hellhounds, beautiful. We have challenges. So now we have daily challenges and weekly challenges, which makes you able to win. Well, yeah, win because you complete them, or earn rewards. So like you have golden rewards, which are really good because they're gold. Then we have bronze rewards that are bad because they're bronze. And then in the middle you have silver rewards, and they're silver because they're middle. That's just how it works. That's how medals work.
I think it sums it up nicely.
And you can see them on the map as well while you complete them. We're going to have all the kinds of challenges. Will be cool. Inventory limits. We're going to limit the inventory because we don't want you guys to buy 10,000 sabers.
Fail spawner.
And then just have 10,000 sabers. Or buy 10,000 sabers and try to sell them, but then realize that we didn't change the price at all. Which happens. Same with contraband. You'll only have one type of contraband weapon each, because we also don't want people to take off the free hunters, just murder them. Like, those hunters have lives and families too, They work hard for you. So they deserve, your time worth. We have money changes. Less money, because that's good. Because you get a lot of free other stuff. Yeah, good. No, I'm joking. Level changes. We have made some level changes to the old map. But also new map, you see that in-game.
Massive update on the new map.
That's about it.
That's it? Done. I think.
Be good for your free hunters.
I think we
Think
can
about
move.
their families.
We can move into the Q&A part.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the wrap up.
You guys want some questions related to 4.0? Obviously, if you've missed anything in detail, definitely rewatch the stream, because this was really fast. I can understand. But yeah,
here come the questions.
Here come the questions. Let's see. So obviously people ask. Oh, that's a good question because I heard about the. What about a reset of like?
Yes. So the reset we want to do still, or I think we have to do one still. And originally we wanted to do that together with the crafting update, since we keep on moving the crafting update further and further because of other things, other priorities coming in, and us adjusting like to the feedback, etc. Unfortunately, it also moves that deadline around. So we still think that together with the crafting, it's the most and best time for us to doing a wipe. And resetting stats, etc. Obviously, we're going to keep the prestige ones, as we mentioned in the previous streams. We originally also wanted to do these limitations of the inventory together at the same time because it would be less painful or perceived less painful. Since we think that since we introduced the contraband weapons and these other new mechanics, I think it is needed. We think it is needed to have these limits in the place right now. They give us more freedom for tuning on the test server without you guys going crazy on purchases. But also make sure that you kind of focus on using stuff rather than hoarding stuff. We want to do those changes right now. They might be perceived a bit painful here and there. Again, we want to see what are good numbers. So we need your feedback on that. But we didn't want to wait until crafting comes for this to go in effect.
Yeah. I see a lot of people ask about the field of view slider still, and like that has nothing to do with 4.0, but field of view and centered crosshair. Centered crosshair, I think, is out of option forever. Like that's
centered crosshair at the moment is out of the question because our weapons are aligning to crosshair position, and we want them to be less intrusive on the screen. We don't want the weapon to be high up. We want it to be out of the way. One of the reasons why we introduced like the different types of aiming is just you can take more of the world in. Also, our gunplay is very different from other games, and I think it kind of helps with that. If at one point we give you a chance to center the crosshair in, like decouple from the weapons, that's to be discussed, but it's nothing which is around the corner.
Yeah.
Same for an FOV slider. FOV slider, if you know one of our like previous games, like it's always hard to implement, and it's not been a priority for us. We want to do that eventually, but it's not an easy thing, and therefore it will take some time.
Exactly. The outlines, are we actually adjusting them for 4.0? Because I know we haven't.
So one thing we've noticed is that with the introduction of the new map of Lawson Delta and the time of day that Lawson Delta came with, we saw a bit of desaturation happening on screen, and that led to unintended to like the blue outline to be less visible than it was in some of the other modes. So we're currently looking into changing that, making sure that a time of day specific solution is in place, so we can say like be a little bit bigger, a bit brighter in a particular time of day. This is being worked on. We cannot say for sure if this will happen for 4.0, but we have people actively looking into this right now to make sure it's a bit easier to see your partner still.
Exactly. So the red zone is not fine. Like the way it looks is not final. That circle, which will be around the player, will change. Like we're still working on making it look like it fits into Hunt. This is just
it's just a placeholder for internal testing.
It's literally the functional like appearance. Like red is bad. Don't go there.
The next time you'll be able to actually like try this out later in the week. You will see that this is actually only appearing in front of you if you get really close to it. So you won't see this in 200-meter distance already there. This only starts fading in like roughly around that distance, maybe a little bit, maybe the other end of that bridge, like we're talking about 30-40 meters maybe. Only when you start getting close to it, within that radius to it, would you start seeing it pop in. It would not be a red effect, it would be something themed to the color of the clues and the effects we have for dark side and vanishing, etc. So think about more like themed around that. Again, unfortunately we couldn't show you a picture of it yet because it's still in progress, but functionally it's just meant to contain the player who's currently the prime target for everybody else, so he just doesn't run away in a straight line, and everybody just feels like they have to chase him for 3-4 minutes, not getting anywhere, and overall the quick play experience suffering tremendously from it.
So someone had a good question. What about if you shoot the hellhounds exactly through the mask in an eye, for example?
Yes, so at the moment it's very basic from a setup point of view. We want to refine this further. We have to see if on the time we go on the test server we manage to do that. So for example, if you look with a sniper rifle specifically at like the more from the guy, you ideally want to shoot him still and kill him, right? Like only if you hit the mask should it affect. At the moment it's a first version of it. It's very basic, which means it covers most of the head. We want to carve out more spaces, make it a bit more precise, so that it actually feels more appropriate for where you think you should have hit.
Yeah. So there's a new boss in the works. When that comes, time will tell.
We'll talk about it in the future.
Exactly. So I know a lot of people are a little bit worried about the fighting of the community with Quickplay and Classic. Obviously, with the actual like two maps coming together in the random pool together, that will already take out the forced, map.
Kind of helps us streamline a little bit.
Exactly.
And depending on the region and amount of missions we can make available there, like you still have like obviously your daytime spider on Lawson Delta or your butcher mission on the other one. Also, one thing we want to do with 4.0 is introduce 2 target missions for Lawson Delta as well, so that you can now find like both targets in the same map, just as it is for the regular mission.
I know a lot of people are like eagerly waiting still for the Xbox version. Obviously, we want to make sure that the Xbox version is ready when we ship it and in a good playable state. So that's why we're taking our time, making sure that it's good, because obviously we can't push something that's not ready, because then you can't play it. Can you have the game and you still can't play it? So we take our time and we want to make sure that it works. You know, that you have a good experience.
Expect some more information on that, like not too far
away. Get more, exactly. But when we can't say, but we are working on it, and we just want to make sure that it's, good. Let's see. Does Quickplay also have the anti-teaming feature?
Yes, it does. Yeah. Actually, Quickplay or similar thing, what we've seen on the solo-only event we had earlier, anti-teaming is kind of an important feature for that.
Yeah.
We've seen that with a solo-only event where people were trying to kind of like, even though they were solo, like still partner up by pressing the button at the same time. And then like they would just alternate, like this time I win, next time you win. They would just kind of help each other. If that would be possible in Quickplay, it would be very much hurting that mode. So anti-teaming is an essential feature that specifically for Quickplay has to work, because otherwise it just opens up the door for exploitation.
Yeah, especially any solo. So people, I'm not sure, because like a lot of people say, or like some people say that why reward Quickplay more than Classic? I personally don't think we reward Quickplay more than Classic, because like the hunter is contraband. And still, like, he still starts at level 1. So, like, yes, you can take that hunter, and you can take that hunter to your actual game.
Yeah,
so,
but also you don't 100% know what you will be getting, right?
Exactly.
It really depends on what you.
Very random.
I mean, it comes down to, first off, like, what is the random pistol or hand cannon, shotgun, or melee weapon that you start with, depending on your choices. You can kind of choose a little bit your playstyle from the beginning, but also like, what do you find from that players? What do you find from weapons scattered around the world? Do you maybe need to swap your weapons along the way for something else? Maybe you win with a weapon that you actually didn't like that much, but it was effective to win. Like, you have not as 100% control as you would have control if you would just buy your hunter as is.
Yeah. Yeah, you take damage if you're not in your zone with the bounty. So it's just to prevent the people with the bounty to run away too far.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think we'll just do 1 or 2 more questions, because we have quite a lot of people. Oh, there's another one. Are we getting the bomb lens? Like, when is that actually coming?
Yeah, that's still coming. And I think I mentioned in the last stream, it looks very much like a weapon I would really like to craft. Like it looks very makeshift. Looks like a great thing you could kind of build out of different pieces and stuff. So that might give you a bit of a hint when this might be dropping.
Exactly. Yeah, so we'll still use the ELO system. Okay, let's do 1 more question, like a good one.
Yeah, good one.
About specifically the thing. Oh, wait.
Read it first. Make sure it's a good one. So there's maybe anything about Quickplay which has been unanswered, still unanswered.
I personally, Boo Boo, I just answered your questions. 2 of them were explained or answered. And also, I don't think we should be worried that people will, ruin the game by
what was the question?
Challenges.
The question.
Challenges. Worried about people fucking up the game. Sorry. When going for challenges, FA, you want to silent approach clues, boss, and your partner. Well, I mean, you can still silently do that. Or
to be fair, it's a similar thing already, because you still already get XP, right? I mean, if you have a partner who is basically just there for farming quickly, to rank up faster and then leave early, which is about tactic, then you might already have that problem. The challenges, they're not meant to divert you too much from the mission objective. They're just more of a side thing. Also, like, we don't want you to have to farm like 500 grunts or something like that. So basically, you have to shoot every little grunt you see for a full week. they have to be reasonable challenges, stuff that you can actually achieve, and kind of like spices up your experience rather than completely setting you on a different track for completing that particular challenge.
Exactly. Okay, I have one last question. Will we have 2 bosses in Lawson if the map goes to
Yes, I just mentioned that. It's basically with the new update, we also introduced the 2 target missions on Lawson Delta, so you can have the Spider and the Butcher both on the same map, as is already the case for the old map for our Stillwater Bayou. Bayou.
Okay, well, obviously we would love to answer all questions, but if you still have questions, go to our social media, go to our Discord, which is discord.gg/Showdown, or Twitter or Facebook/Showdown, and ask them there, because we will answer them there. Obviously, we will be able to explain more in some other dev streams, because I know that a lot of people ask about things that are coming later, like new boss. Obviously, we'll do a dev stream for that. We'll do a new dev stream, maybe something with the new AI, you know, just keep on doing. So obviously, hopefully, this week test of Quickplay, or well, 4.0.
I see a couple of questions coming up here regarding.
If you have Tinder?
No,
no. Not that question?
I think I'm not allowed by my girlfriend to have Tinder.
Sorry, it's taken.
I have seen a couple of questions here actually, which are interesting, which is about time of day for the new map.
Okay.
So not for 4.0, but soon.
But are we getting a new one, or are we getting the old one?
We talk about this more in the future. But I think what we want to get to is giving you the same experience as you have on the old map, also on a new map over time. It just takes time to tune and adjust, like light sources, fire camps, etc. So expect nighttime, expect fog, and other times of days to hit us eventually.
Exactly. So, as I said before, you can ask all remaining questions on social media. He's also on the Discord, where you can find him under the name Niles. I gave up his cover. So just bog him there. It's fine. You can bog all of us there. So if you have questions, ask them. Try 4.0 out. Hopefully this week on test, and otherwise very soon.
Yes.
And then obviously we can get all your feedback. We'll do more, as you might have noticed on the Discord. We'll do more surveys, because it will give us a better overview for them.
Yes.
Because they want numbers.
Yes, numbers.
They want a lot of data. I like how you say data. They want data.
Data.
So we'll be doing some more surveys, also probably on social media. So if you can help us with that, fill those in, because that data is very valuable to us, because then they can change things according to your wishes.
Or completely ignore it if you like.
Or ignore it. That happens too. Yeah, I know that.
All right.
Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, and until next time.
See you on the servers.
Bye.